do that? Hello, my strong friends. The hardest lift for super strong women especially to progress in is always the overhead press. I personally have seen women who can deadlift like 300 pounds, but they struggle with their overhead press and cannot break past their plateaus. So in this video, I'm going to give you 4 things that you can fix immediately within your setup, my favorite tips and cues on how to break past plateaus. So I'm gonna give you some mobility tips and how to program a progression for the overhead press so you can lift goddamn 100+ pounds over your head, and also how you can build some nice delts. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk about that and more. Let's get it. First, let's talk about what we're doing. We're gonna talk about the strict overhead press here. What that means is that your lower body is static. You're not gonna use any hip movement to like get the bar up there. Like in some Olympic weightlifting training, they'll program push press, so you're getting a little lower body momentum, or they'll do, as we know, oh God, I'm gonna do a jerk. They'll do jerks or even a split jerk, okay? That's another video. What we're talking is strict overhead press, so isolating the upper body a little bit more. Some people are overhead press haters, and I am not one of them, okay? I love programming this movement for many different reasons. One, it's fun. Why do people hate it so much? Generally speaking, it is not optimal for building like really capped delts. So it's not optimal for building your lateral side delt. It is more of a front delt movement. In the overhead press, you get lots of front delts, you get some triceps. It's a super long range of motion, which is great. And you get some upper traps and some upper pecs. I love this movement because it's very functional. We all have the experience of lifting our suitcase into the overhead bin. We all have to reach up for things and pull them down. And usually before you pull it down, you had to get up there in the first place. So it's super functional movement. I think it's badass too. My take is the optimal functional training camp gets a little too optimal. You know what I mean? Sometimes we just are lifting for fun, and sometimes we don't always program for a perfect body, right? We program for a function, we program to enjoy ourselves in the gym and build brute strength, and that's what you get with the overhead press. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk equipment. You could do this butt naked, first of all. You don't really need much. A flat shoe that has a stable flat sole will be helpful. You don't want a cushy running shoe. Even though we are isolating our upper body with the strict press, you will be kind of rooting from your feet and maintaining tension in your lower body. So you do want something that's gonna give you some good ground contact. Outside of your shoes, you might, as you get more experience, use a belt. I like a Velcro, very simple, very lightweight kind of belt. When you get to be pressing the whole world, then you might try a heavier duty powerlifting style leather suede belt. Some people like wrist wraps. I personally don't use wrist wraps in the overhead press or in the bench. A lot of that has to do with just feeling really stacked with my wrist position, so I'll cover that. And the last piece of equipment you might consider is some chalk, just to get a really good grip on that bar. With any lift, when you dial in your setup and get in a good start position, that usually means the actual lifting portion kind of takes care of itself. You want to find a bar height that is about your mid delt height. It will be very similar to where you're setting up for a low bar position. For your hand width, like where to actually grab onto the bar, I like to extend my thumbs out from my delts and grab there. So that is my width for getting on the bar. When we actually grab the bar, we wanna make sure that the bar is sitting close to the butt of our palm, or the heel of our palm. It won't be back in the fingers like this where I'm cocking my wrist back. It'll be comfortably on the heel of my hand so that the bar is directly over my wrist here. You will see a little bit of a cock back, and that's okay. It really just depends on your wrist mobility. The biggest thing is that when you're pressing the elbow through the wrist, through the bar. Lots of lifters choose a false grip in the overhead press. It's really personal preference. You can either wrap your thumbs if you feel more comfortable there, or you can false grip. A false grip basically means instead of my thumbs being fully around the bar, I have it next to the rest of my fingers. Some people get worried about this position because we don't want to do it in certain lifts like the bench press. The risk of me dropping a bench is really high because my body is under the bar. Whereas for the overhead press, it's probably one of the safer lifts, because truly, should you ever fail an overhead press, it is not going to fall on your body you can just step out of the way. If I were to get stuck in the middle of an overhead press, I can just come back down instead of like dropping the bar, you know what I mean? Really, you wanna choose what's best for you and what you're most comfortable with, but I do find that that false grip makes that stacking the bar over the wrist a little bit easier. Now that we've got our hands set, let's think about where our elbows are in the start position. The elbows should be slightly pointed away from you, so it has a little bit of a negative angle there. Bring the elbows forward so that when you unrack, the bar sort of like floats over your clavicle. You do not want to rest the bar here in like a resting front rack. The bar will be like floating over the clavicle, and that starting position is sort of like your base from where you'll start your first rep. If you look at me from the front angle, my forearms will be parallel to one another and perpendicular to the bar with a little bit of that elbows in front of the bar form. You will want to think about full body tension. We're not getting momentum from our lower body and we're not pressing from our lower body, but we will do things to like activate so that they're tight and like connected to the floor. The main thing that I want you to think about is your torso. Think about shortening the space between the bottom of your ribs and the top of your pelvis. What this will do will shorten that space, you'll squeeze your glutes and flex your quads. Now, as you start overhead pressing heavier and heavier weights, you will be inclined to kind of get in this stretch position to cheat a little bit. And I'm gonna tell you that's okay, but when you're starting, I want you to get that full lower body tension, shorten the space here, abs are tight and engaged, and you've got a solid base to start pressing. A rule of thumb when you're lifting weights is you always want the bar to be in a mostly straight line. The issue with the overhead press is that there's something preventing me from pushing it in an exactly straight line. And what would that be, Grid?
Your head.
Yes, exactly. Your head's in the way, so you can't just press from the bar being right here, kind of like under your chin, to straight up, right? So you have to move your head out of the way. When you're setting up at the beginning, I want you to think about tucking your chin, and as the bar presses up and passes your eye gaze, then push your head through. It's kind of like you're pushing your head through a window. So your window is the space that your arms are making. And as the bar goes up, you're like, boop, hello, good morning. Now, some people don't love the push your head through cue because as the bar gets really heavy, you will find it hard to actually do that or you'll mess up the timing. In my opinion, as you become a better lifter, you will understand that timing and you will understand where the bar is. All right, we've got our perfect setup. Next, we're going to actually execute the overhead press. When we get our elbows, wrists, and torso in position, you will walk out from the rack. Just take a super short 3-step max walkout. Squeeze from the floor. Make sure that your bar is floating over the clavicle. The bar is not moving. We're gonna initiate the movement by pressing from the elbow through the wrist, through the bar, and press all the way up so that we're fully stacked. Now, one tip here, as we're thinking about pushing the head through, is once that bar passes your eye gaze, you will feel the triceps kind of initiate more, and you want to think about shortening the tricep and pressing all the way up to finish the press. Let's transition to my favorite cues for the overhead press. I've already mentioned that you do want to have a strong contact from the floor up, but whenever the overhead press starts getting hard, just think, squeeze my butt. Squeeze my butt. I swear to God, that cue works all the time for initiating that contact again, and also like giving you that little bit of tension to finally finish your rep. My second tip, and this one is a little controversial because it doesn't always work for everyone, but most people I find have more success in the overhead press when they rest at the top. Think about it like a squat. You don't rest at the bottom in a squat. That would be silly. You rest at the top when the bar is rested and it's stacked on top of your skeleton. Same thing with the overhead press. My skeleton is supporting the weight of the bar when it's fully up here, not my muscles on the way up. And also, I'm not in that floating over my clavicle, very, very tiring resting position here. I also find, it's kind of like the starting strength camp are very passionate about this one. I find that most of the time when they take their reps from the bottom, from this position, they are still like dipping and driving. So they're still getting probably about the same amount of momentum that I do because they're kind of dipping and driving with their overhead press. So I find that you just be unnecessary to not have the opportunity to like take a breath, collect yourself and rest, especially when you're working with like sets of 5+. Before we wrap, I wanna talk about mobility, and I have an exercise that you have to be doing, especially if the overhead press causes any pain or you always have a problem lifting your arms overhead. You want to listen to this section because this is the best exercise, and I've had so many people comment that this has like saved their shoulders. All right, let's talk mobility. If your shoulders feel like shit when you're lifting weight or reaching for something overhead, then listen up. I have the exercise that you need to be doing, and let me show you. It's called the Blackburn. First of all, it counters that like hunched over posture. And I don't know about you, but there are days where I'm on my computer all day or on my phone for hours, and I feel so stiff and sore, it makes training really hard. The Blackburn will train the rotator cuff, which is often neglected. Super strong lifters, especially those watching those videos, do a lot of pushing, like benching, or overhead press, or lat pull downs. So they avoid these like rotator cuff movements that'll keep the shoulders healthy when you're lifting weight. The entire exercise is performed facing down. You'll move your arms in a big circle, kind of like a reverse snow angel. Keep your thumbs to the ceiling and retract your scapula. Think about squeezing a pencil between your shoulder blades. Eventually, you'll get to a point where you need to turn over your hands and internally rotate the shoulder to complete your snow angel. You want to reach as far and wide as possible before that turnover. Bring the hands together, give a little crunch for the low back. Remember to always rest your forehead, relax the neck muscles, and try not to shrug. Try them at work when you notice yourself hunched over. Take a break and do like 2 to 3 sets of 6 reps. The Blackburn will engage and strengthen the scapular stabilize that are super stretched and inactive in that posture. When you're at the gym, you can do them before any pressing movement, work them into your warm-up, 2 to 3 sets for about 6 reps will be fine. Before we get into the progression for the overhead press, if you want to ensure and make sure you're making progress in your training, the best way to do that is by following a program that is set up to get you stronger. And of course, Stronger by the Day is the best strength training app out there, and that's an actual fact. You just gotta ask Sports Illustrated, who reviewed tons of top-of-the-line apps and continued to run Stronger by the Day for over a year. And she quotes, "I've been lifting for nearly 6 years now, but I started making way more progress once I started using this app, Stronger by the Day." So you can choose from our options: gym, at home, or express for shorter workouts. It programs everything you need: exercise, weights, sets, reps, frequency, and of course the progression you need to get stronger by the day, and especially in your overhead press. We have over 400 exercises in our exercise library, so you know exactly how to perform each lift with perfect form. That big library also means you have tons of substitutions, so you can never be confused on how to get stronger again. Join Stronger by the Day today and start your free trial. You can click the first link in the description, and I'll see you there. Progression. Let's talk about how to get a bigger overhead press. One of the biggest issues that we see is if your overhead press is under 100 pounds, it is crazy to make like a 5-pound jump, especially if you're working towards a PR, a new 1 rep max. So for example, if my best overhead press is 60 pounds, then it's gonna be really hard to make 2.5-pound jumps for a new 65-pound PR. That's a big percentage of my max. So what you can do is buy micro plates. First of all, I'm an idiot because look what I bought. Saw this on Amazon, I'm like, wow, don't these look great? It was all the way from a 1/4 pound to 1.5 pounds, 1 pound. Let me show you my issue. How am I gonna fit that on there? I ordered the wrong thing. So should you order these, you can get them from the same brand, Micro Gains. Just make sure you get the ones with the wide hole that'll fit on a barbell, which was my mistake. So I'll be returning these in exchange for those. Other options that I found that aren't as small of a jumps as those are these little adjustable 1.25 pound micro plates. You can fit it on the inside of your collars for your barbell, or you can fit them on a lot of dumbbells. So these might be a little bit more versatile, especially for lateral raises if you need to add a little bit to a lateral raise without making, again, a 5-pound or 2.5-pound jump. Try these. Lots of my lifters on my Discord from Stronger by the Day were talking about using ankle weights, which is something you might have lying around or your gym might have. These really cute Amazon kind of broke down balla bands. Is that what they're called, balla bands? Balla bangles? Yeah, the really expensive ones. Don't get the really expensive ones, get these ones that were like 20 bucks. And these are 1-pound weights that you can take then a 2-pound jump on your overhead press to kind of fill in some of the gaps. God, I can't believe I ordered the wrong thing. Another barrier to entry that a lot of people have is they simply cannot yet overhead press 45 pounds. So check in your gym if they have either a women's Olympic weightlifting bar, which will be 33 pounds, or if they have a training bar. So this one is made by Rep Fitness, I believe. Yeah, and this is a rep technique bar and it's 15 pounds. There's no shame in using lighter bars that aren't yet the 45-pound bar as you work up to build that strength. And that sometimes is a better alternative to just subbing out the movement to something like a dumbbell overhead press or a landmine press. As opposed to some other barbell lifts, the overhead press, when you fail it, is probably like the safest one to fail. So you can really get closer to failure without worrying too much about safety, honestly. The biggest concern that I would have, and that I've done before, is knocking your chin on the way up. So watch out for that. You just want to make sure you tuck the chin before you push the head through. I did have someone comment on a post recently that they hit their boobs on the way up. And I am not that blessed, but should you be that blessed, just keep that in mind. I mean, if you're floating over the clavicle like I recommended, I can't see how that would happen, but hey, I'm not here to body shame anyone, all right? That's amazing. You know, a lot of these videos really do be telling you all the info that you need, but I never seen none of them max out their overhead press, so that's what I'm gonna do today. I am going off program, what is recommended for Stronger by the Day, but it's for you. I've already warmed up about 100 times, so if I don't hit a PR, then you know it's because I shot all the B-roll before doing this. So it's always nice to put the 25s on, then you really do feel like a bad bitch. That's when I know, wow, she ain't fucking around. Renee? No, she's not interested. She has a YouTube channel, check it out. She's not interested in collabing with me, I don't get it, but.
She has a stationary program.
Feeling good, feeling like a PR kind of day. I need one of you guys to hop in because then I'm just gonna not rest enough. Ridley, just don't embarrass me like you did in the sled push. That's all you can do anyway. This is way better. That's why I wanted to do this video, because it's way better than trying to max out my squat. This is 75. I'll look up in between this my best ever press. I want to say it's either 105. I said 115 to you, but I think I was just flexing for no reason. It's on the internet somewhere, so. Okay, feeling good. Let's go 85. All right, 85 pounds. I guess I will continue to make 5-pound jumps all the way up. Oh yeah. Okay. Ooh. Felt fine. Babe, do you know my best ever overhead press?
I think you did give me some 105.
Oh, okay. On the internet right now, it's at 100, so if I match it today, I was like, had been like 20 pounds heavier back then. If you really want to spend a lot of money, you can get the Eleiko chips. These are so pretty, but we do have these, so I might use those if I can chip 100. If my 100 looks okay, I got a little something, I'll use these bad boys.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I think you should put it on and go up there.
Bro, no. I'd rather match my PR first. Say, okay, I hit 100.
Remember, you taught us how to fail in this video already.
All right, can we turn on some music at least? Meg and Meg the Salad. Why'd you guys make me do that? Nah, that ain't going up, dog. I'm like, I can't put my head through if my chin's right there. I'm gonna cheat a little here. I'm gonna get a little bounce. It's hard to PR your strict press 1 rep max because you're starting from the dead stop. You get no momentum. So I'm gonna try and cheat, get a little bit of momentum here. I also made the mistake of taking my breath and brace, and then I unracked, walked out, and I took another breath, and I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna hold it the whole time. I might not even walk out, actually. You know, did I get up high that time?
Not as high.
Oh, okay, yeah, no. Well, guys, really wish I wouldn't have listened to my friends and I would have just tried to get 100 again. But sometimes peer pressure will do that to you. Make sure you stay following your program and your initial plan that you had going into the gym. But at least I pressed 95, that's not bad. 95 is like a daily minimum though, I gotta say. See, that's where it gets tough because I could probably walk into the gym any day and do 95, but it is really hard to get much higher than that with my overhead press. Yeah, sometimes I'll just fuck around and find out, you know what I mean? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Give this video a like. Send it to someone with an overhead press that's experiencing a plateau. Even if it's yourself, save it for later. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.